Got it.
Got it. I'll call calling the meeting to order for December 9th at 7 p.m. North Bend Planning Commission. We will do our roll call. Let's see, Commissioner Bovers.
Here.
Commissioner Greenberg.
Here.
Commissioner Moe. Absent. Commissioner Torgerson.
Here.
Commissioner Tao.
Here.
Okay, Commissioner Blanco. So we have 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of us. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. We can officially call the meeting to order. We have 5 commissioners here. Commissioner Bush is absent, as well as Commissioner Moe. We'll see. Maybe she'll come in, but I haven't heard anything from Commissioner Moe on this one. Let's see. What's the first thing we want to do here is the opportunity for public comment on non-agenda items. Mike, do we have anybody in the queue?
No, we don't have any.
No.
Nope.
So do I open it and close the public meeting? Okay, I'll open the
Perfect.
public. I'll open the public meeting at, I can't get my watch. Oh, there we go, 7:01. Yep, 7:01. And seeing no one in the queue, we will close it at 7:01 as well.
Yep.
Okay to do? All right. Let's see. We're going to number 3 to approve the minutes of the November 18th Planning Commission. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
Yep, I'll move approval of the November 18, 2021 meeting minutes as presented.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Approved by, motion to approve by Commissioner Greenberg. Motion seconded by Torgerson. All in favor?
Aye.
All present? Ayes. Thank you. Number 4. My goodness sakes, are we that far already? Okay. Number 4, Rebecca, our Planning Commission 202 work program docket. Everybody had a chance to look this over, I hope. Well, Rebecca will walk us through it. So we'll turn the meeting over to her to share with us what we're going to be asked of this, what they're going to ask of us this year.
So staff is planning an aggressive agenda this year with some code amendments, as well as a bunch of other staff projects that are on our plate for this year. Our proposal for the 2022 docket recommendations, which does not at this time include any proposed comprehensive plan updates, and they're all code amendments, and mostly they're all cleanup of the code. The first one that we're recommending on the docket would be to amend the parking requirements to clarify when there is a change of use from one kind of commercial use to another kind of commercial use in an existing building, when they are required to meet any new parking requirements for the new use. So it's kind of unclear. It talks about residential to commercial, but it's not very clear to say if you're going from a low parking commercial use to a high parking commercial use that you need to meet the new commercial parking requirements in order to use that building. So we want to clarify when those requirements would come into play. Feel free to ask any questions on as we go item for item, because I'm going to jump to the next item, and I figure it might make sense to discuss each one at a time. So go ahead.
Yeah, so is this list in order of preference or priority to you guys?
There is no priority on this. No.
Okay.
This is just, I think it was the list as I came across them this year to schedule for next year. So no, it is not on a priority. Okay, so anyone else? Okay, so the next one is currently our residential design standards have different layers of design standards for single family homes. So we've got a set of standards that applies to homes that are between 2 units and 4 units. And then we have, it goes up in scale as you start to get into subdivisions above 4 units. The 2 to 4 units requirements is a page. They're very simple things like what kind of, window trim and how you should face the building. And so my recommendation is to bring back and actually require that be changed for, instead of 2 to 4, that be from 0 to 4 units, so that even if you're building a single house, there are, because right now we don't technically have design standards if you're just building a single house. We do for the form-based codes and DC zone, but anywhere else, we don't have any design standards for a single house. And so we're looking at putting minimal design standards. The next one is related to when site plans are required. So currently we've run into a few situations where people are trying to expand either outdoor seating or outdoor parking, and either did them without permits, or it wasn't clear what, it was just a, yeah, go ahead kind of situation. So we're proposing to require a site plan process so that there is a formal approval and record when they make those outdoor changes. So currently they only have to do a site plan if they expand the building, but not if they make changes to the outdoor area. So if someone adds outdoor seating and reduces landscaping, there's not really a process to review that currently. Still no questions? Okay, I'll keep going. The next one is related to the docket process. I know this was a recent update that actually clarified a lot of items, but it still technically states that, for instance, all of these items should be reviewed by you guys in a 2-month period and a recommendation to council, which doesn't make sense to me when we want to do amendments throughout the year. So I'm bringing back a proposal that says the docket process has a deadline that you guys need to make a recommendation, and then council approves the docket, and then we bring them back to you throughout the entire year like we did last year. So we're just looking at codifying that process. The next one is dealing with adding a code relating to application abandonment and non-responsive applicants. So for instance, if we get an application and we determine their application is complete, and then we send them corrections on their plans, they could technically disappear for 8 months, 2 years, 3 years, and come back and still have a valid application with the way it's written now. So we want to basically add a section that allows for non-responsive applicants to, in a sense, lose their vesting, if they're not responding within 6 months to us and resubmitting, that we could say, okay, you're unresponsive and you need to start over with a new application. Really, this becomes an issue when you're working with someone over a year's process and they don't respond. It's not something that we go, oh, it's 6 months, we're gonna just cut you off. There's usually warnings, there's usually discussions, and if they're responsive, even if it's not a complete submittal, even if they're responsive to it and we're working with them, this doesn't usually get triggered. It's really for applicants that disappear on you. The next one is to look at the impact fee regulations. We have a mix of impact fee allowances. For instance, we have some impact fees that allow developers to build the improvement and get a credit, and we have other impact fees that don't allow that. So we just want to make it equal across all of the impact fees and allow developers to build the improvements that those impact fees would cover with our approval and get the credit, instead of having to pay and not having that option. The next one is there's currently a conflict. When the binding site plan process came out, we updated it, and it talks about how it's used in terms of condominiums and condominium maps, but the condo map section did not get updated. So there's a conflict where, like, for instance, I believe the binding site plan section says that you don't need to do a condo map, but the condo map section says you do if you're doing a condo. So we just want to clean up that conflict and make clear what's the correct process is depending on which direction they choose to go. And then the last one is an amendment to the definitions. We want to clean up our definitions. We want to look at including all of our land use chart uses and have a definition for each land use, so that when someone's asking about a contractor storage yard, what is that defined as? You know, is it just an outdoor storage facility, or is it meant for, you know, vehicles and equipment? But adding definitions for each type of land use. It came up this last year or the year before, dealing with, we've got two uses, one's mini storage and the other is indoor storage. How do those differ? There's no definition on how those differ. So, you know, we understand what a mini storage is, but someone could argue, well, if it's all storage inside, isn't that indoor storage as well? So we just want to propose to add definitions across the board on land use. And this would also clean up the hotel definitions and add definitions for the hotel that was put in the performance standard, so we could clean that up. So that's the proposed amendments that I hope to bring to you this next year. We have 3 items that I kind of want to start and look at. Some of them were requested by council, and some are just kind of a lofty goal I have that I don't necessarily foresee these coming to you guys this year. It's basically more of a multi-year research and coming up with options. One is, we've been asked by council to look at how we can future-proof development. One of those items was the EV in the garage, but are there things we can do for conduit in the street we haven't thought of? What are other cities maybe doing to help try and future-proof development so that we don't have to tear up roads, you know, shortly after we put them in because new technology comes out? What can we do? And so that's one we kind of want to research, and I don't know that we'll have an answer in this year, but it's part of something that we want to look at. The next is research waste diversion and reuse options for demolition of buildings. You know, for instance, can we require someone to notify Habitat for Humanity, for instance, not that they necessarily want it, so that they can come through and get doors or windows or doorknobs, something that can, you know, that they could either resell that prevents it from going into the into the waste facility. And so just not something that would necessarily require it to be recycled, but require, maybe give someone a chance to respond before it all gets just demoed and put in the trash. And then I want to start to look at reorganizing our municipal code. I've been here just over a year now, and I find it very difficult when I'm looking at single family requirements that I have to go to 3 or 4 different places in our code. So I want to look at grouping the codes together in a little more intuitive way that we can send people to one section, and that has the majority of those kind of regulations. I get we'll still have lighting in one section and street, you know, requirements, but all of our standards for a single family house, I would hope that we could group together as an example into one section. So, and that one I have a feeling is going to take many, many years to do, but I want to start playing with it and looking at reorganization. And so those are my goals. We do have budget for other projects that staff are doing. These aren't necessarily projects that are coming to you guys, but I just wanted to make you aware of the projects that staff are going to be working on as well over this next year, which is we're looking at doing a cultural resource plan, which is basically a plan where we work with the tribe to determine where there is sensitivity to cultural resources, and we come up with a plan of action on a citywide basis instead of a project by project basis. You know, which projects need more monitoring because they're in a very highly sensitive areas, which ones can just have standard conditions. It should save time on a project to project basis and helps build our relationship with the tribe. I've been this year applying for a Complete Streets grant. We're hoping to be able to get that grant and work on a Complete Streets corridor plan, which is really the partner to our form-based codes through downtown. We want to do a corridor plan of all of North Bend Way and look at how the best way that North Bend Way could function as a multimodal access across the entire length and the different types of uses that North Bend Way crosses. We also received a grant this last quarter for a housing needs assessment and housing action plan. These are things that are actually needed for our periodic update for our comp plan. We're looking at doing, however, a regional housing needs assessment. So it's a little more complicated because we're working with the other Valley cities to put this together. And then we would have an individualized housing need assessment piece that would be part of our comp plan. And then the housing action plan would all be individualized just for us. And so that's a project that will be through this year and the beginning or through 2022 and the beginning of 2023. And then we're going to start looking at our internal process for updating, doing our periodic update for the comp plan. That's going to come before we know it. So that's a, something we need to start thinking about and working on as well in 2022. We did get funding to hire a consultant to look at design options for both William H. Taylor Park and Riverfront Park. So we're going to be going out to RFP and start looking at different design options to plan those parks in the future. One of the reasons we're wanting to do this is to hope that we can get a design finalized so that we can start applying for other grants to start doing some possible improvements, because a lot of grants want to know what the grant is for, what they're actually building, not just always planning, not just necessarily a planning document. And the last thing is we're going to look at doing basically a community survey or a citizen satisfaction survey. So we're going to be researching some survey firms. A lot of other cities in this area do this actually every 2 years as part of kind of almost their budget process to look at what the priorities of the community are. And so those are what community and economic development projects are that we're planning to do. We have other economic development projects, like we've been working on the economic development plan. And we do have already come up with a few other code amendments that we'll be bringing back to you as well. But this is what we've proposed for the docket. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I have a question, Rebecca, or maybe a I don't know, suggestion. These, when I read this, North Bend Municipal Code 18.16.040, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I got to go through there, but I'll see it when it comes. But I'm wondering, when these come in or come to us and we look at our packet and we're looking at it and we have some questions or concerns, is there a chance we could maybe forward those to you prior to our meeting so that you have a chance, if it's one you get asked all the time, you'll have the answer right away. But if you need to research it, is that something we could do, or would that overwhelm you? Or
no, of course. Anytime we ask that you guys, if you have questions, to email us when you get the packet. But if there's, with all of these, if you even want to sit down, I'd be happy to schedule a meeting and do one-on-one discussion to go over any ones you guys have. If there's, if you have more than one question you need an answer to, and you want to sit down and have a conversation about the direction that we're trying to go with that code, we're happy to do that as well.
I do sometimes. I think, well, maybe is this where I'm thinking it right? And I think, well, maybe I'll ask, and I think, well, maybe I need to wait until I get in front of the whole group or something. But it may be something obscure that you may have to spend time or research or something. And if I have the question, perhaps one of my fellow commissioners may have it as well. So that's why I'm asking to be okay just to, email you or send it.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate that. We can either respond the answer to everyone, or you can still ask the question in the public so that the public's aware that you had the question. And it just gives us a chance, especially if we have to look up a different code or see how it might interact with something. It's helpful to allow us to do that research ahead of time so that we can bring an answer and not delay moving forward. Definitely helpful.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Anyone else have any other questions about our workload for 2022? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, we do actually technically, based on the code now, need you guys to make a motion to recommend the docket so that we can take it to council as a commission recommended docket. I apologize, I didn't get that in the agenda, so.
No, I think it's just, so we do need a motion to do this to, there we go. Wait a minute. Where's my cheat sheet?
Would you like a motion?
Yes, a planning commissioner to make a motion.
Sure. I would recommend approval of the proposed 2022 docket list and planning commission work program as presented.
Any
And
comments?
Commissioner Tao seconds.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. It passed. Send it on to council.
Yep.
Yeah, all right. Are we done?
That's it. We're done with this meeting. So, happy holidays, everybody.
Yeah. Well, and here we go to 2022, and looks like we have a lot to do. I decided to move these things forward. And anyone else have anything they want to say?
Merry
All right.
Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
See you all
Really?
next year.
Okay. Yeah, let's see, what's my time? We'll adjourn the meeting at 7:20. Thank you.
All right. You all have
Bye,
a great night.
everybody.
Good night.
Hey, everyone.
Night.